And if Abdul Hakid is ready to record the thing, I can start now. Okay, good morning, friends. Today we are going to introduce a new topic. Um, as part of our postgraduate program, in your semester, in your second semester, I am going to deal with T.S. Eliot's poetic drama, poetic play, Murder in the Cathedral. It has been variously interpreted and considered as a poetic drama, a religious play, a high tragedy, and so on. Now, before I discuss Murder in the Cathedral, I must tell you something about T.S. Eliot, the writer of this play. And I must also tell you something about poetic drama. Now, those of you who are really interested, I will tell you to read a particular essay by Leslie O. Abercrombie, Religion and Poetry in Drama. Now, T.S. Eliot or Thomas Stars Eliot is considered to be one of the key figures of modernism, the modernist movement. Now, who was T.S. Eliot? T.S. Eliot was basically an American, born in 1888 in St. Louis, Missouri. He came from a stock with strong puritanical and Unitarian leanings, and with a very strong connection with Massachusetts. T.S. Eliot was fortunate to go to Harvard for his studies. There, he had as his teachers George Santayana and Irving Babbitt. Now, from these teachers, he learned a lot. He was reading philosophy. He has also studied in other places, in Germany, in France, in England, and from Irving Babbitt, he learned his distrust of the romantics, and T.S. Eliot enrolled himself for doctoral research, but chose not to take his degree. Later on, this was published as Knowledge and Experience in the Philosophy of F.H. Bradley. T.S. Eliot started writing poetry almost at the behest of, obviously encouraged by Agerholm. With W.B. Yeats, his senior contemporary, he had a kind of a love-hate relationship. Now, T.S. Eliot was at one time a school teacher. He was an editor. He was a poet, a scientist, a critic. He was also a social, not only a literary critic, he was a social. Now, T.S. Eliot was not a war poet or a political poet in that sense of the term. On the other hand, he soaked up the inputs that a world in turmoil could provide. He, in fact, was one of the most successful chroniclers of the sense of boredom, ennui, frustration, helplessness, and also the utter vacuity of the post First World War years. T.S. Eliot was a person, an intellectual, with marked religious leanings. In fact, he, it seems, was turned towards religion by the contemporary chaos that he had seen. In 1927, for example, in For Lancelot Andrews, a series of essays, he categorized himself as a classical or as classical or the classicist in literature, a royalist in politics, and an Anglo-Catholic in religion. There is a marked religious leaning in his. Of his poems, we must mention poems such as J. Alfred Lapse of J. Alfred Prufrock, then Sweeney Agonistis, The Hollow Man, The Journey of the Magi, Gerontion, and so on and so forth. But the two poems that actually are considered to be the most important contributions of T.S. Eliot to English poetry are number one, The Wasteland, published in 1922, and then Four Quartets, published in 1943. Now, all his life, all his intellectual life, T.S. Eliot has provided us with both a background to his poetic oeuvre and a commentary thereof in a sizable critical corpus. Use of poetry, use of criticism, for Lancelot Andrews, selected essays. These are some of his works, but the first one was Sacred Wood. He has also written about Christianity. He has also written about society and culture. But today we are going to read his play, Murder in the Cathedral. He has written many plays. The pageant play Rock, There are other plays like Family Reunion, The Elder Statesman, and so on. But Murder in the Cathedral, published in 1935 and first performed in the excuse me, chapter house of the Canterbury Cathedral during the feast of um, St. Thomas of Becket, is considered to be the most important dramatic contribution that he had made to English drama. Now, you will see that poetic drama is one type of play that was very important and well favored during the first half of the 20th century in the hands of such practitioners as T.S. Eliot himself, W.B. Yeats, Leslie Abercrombie, and to some extent, Fry and Isherwood as well. Now, poetic drama is not only a drama, a play written in verse. It has got other features. The basic approach to characterization, storytelling, and choice of subject matter. These are all different from a prose writer, prose dramatist, like say George Bernard Shaw or Wordsworth, for that. Now, obviously, while I will discuss Murder in the Cathedral and try to consider it as a poetic drama, I will discuss this thing in greater detail. Now, I must tell you something about Murder in the Cathedral. The murder, as alluded to herein, is the murder of Thomas A. Becket, the Archbishop of the Canterbury Cathedral. This was done in 1170 at the behest of Henry II by 4 knights. Even though later on Henry II disowned them and they were punished to make a pilgrimage to the Holy Lands, after which only one survived. Now, there was a very, very important aspect of the play. You have to look at the year 1170. 104 years after the Norman conquest of 1066. Now, the conflict between the Normans and the Saxons had not been settled. It was still the age of feudalism. The barons, the local lords were also very powerful. King's authority was tenuous. In fact, because of the frequent intrigues, nobody could be sure about his own status or power. At the end of the day, one day you are strong, the other day you are weak. The next day you may again be strong, or lose your head, lose your life altogether. So it was, in a way, very troubled times. And the tussle between the church and the state was something that was going on full throttle. Now, Henry II, who had once been a friend of Thomas Becket, whom he had made the Chancellor and later on the Archbishop of Canterbury, you know, expected of Thomas Becket undying devotion and acquiescence to do the king's bidding in all matters. But the proud man and the virtuous man that Thomas Becket was, he did not want to be only a yes man to King Henry II. For the king, he had a deep feeling of love and respect and friendship, but he was in no way ready or eager to do the master's bidding, the temporal master's bidding at all. In fact, from the very chinks of his own thought domain, he had seen the difference between temporal governance and divine. As an archbishop, he was supposed to be a man of God, a man of the church. As a result, he loathed to demean himself and his office by doing the king's bidding in all cases. Similarly, he had also antagonized the landed classes, the barons, because he, in his virtue and pride, had sometimes abolished some of the privileges of the aristocracy. So when he refused to join one party wholeheartedly, he was, in some measures, reviled by both the party of the king and also the party of the barons. King rules or barons rule. This is one of the most important repeated phrases in the Odic song of the illiterate poor women of Canterbury about Thomas. So we'll see that Thomas Becket was killed by 4 knights. And even though his priests wanted to save him by barring the door of the church, he refused to bow down. Hello? Yes. Therefore, he was killed as a proud, treacherous man, and the 4 knights tried to justify the king. But in so doing, they had given a hope not only to the population of Canterbury but the entire English Isles. With his martyrdom, Canterbury got another saint, after Saint Augustine of Canterbury, also known as Austin, and Saint Anselm, Thomas A. Becket was third saint from Canterbury. So the tussle is between monarchy, the aristocracy, and the church, in which Thomas Becket laid down his life. So today I have given you some idea of T.S. Eliot as a writer and Murder in the Cathedral as a play. From next day onwards, we will go sparingly over the text and then discuss the topics. This much for the timing. And if you have any questions, you may put them. You may ask me any question that you feel like. Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
No, sir.
Please do. Go forward.
Sir, you said that there is a tussle between church and the state. So Thomas Becket is in favor of the church. So Henry II is in favor of the state.
Yes,
Okay, sir.
obviously,
That's one.
because the state is represented by the king, just as the church in England is represented by the Archbishop of Canterbury. The secular and the religious authorities. Any other thing you want to get clarified? Any question?
Sir, what is martyrdom? Sacrificing in front of God, sacrificing life in front of God.
Yes, this is a working definition of martyrdom for laymen. Obviously, when I discuss the martyrdom of Thomas Becket, I will have to discuss in greater detail. There are certain nuances. In a way, it's a self-sacrifice in the cause of God and the church. But there are other things. I will have to discuss them when I discuss the text and discuss the topics. Okay, go on. Any
Okay, sir.
other question? Siddiq, if there are no more questions, you may remove me.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. ভালো থাকবেন।
Okay, pleasure is mine. Thank you.